How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination. If you are new to the channel, do not forget to like and subscribe for more content. Today we're going to be doing a little 8-video series on, well, a draft recap basically. We're going to be doing it by division, by conference. So we're going to start out with the AFC East, which, you know, consists of the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, and defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. And we will end with the NFC West, which consists of the team picking number 1 overall, Arizona, the team picking number 2 overall, San Francisco, the Seattle Seahawks, and defending NFC champions, the Los Angeles Rams. So the NFL draft, it's basically designed for you to get better, you know, for your team to get better, get younger. There are different approaches you can have to the draft. You could draft the best player available, you can draft for need, you can draft for the future. It's very interesting to see the team's approaches. You could do some forward thinking, or you could just try to win now with the window that you have. We saw a lot of teams kind of make investment picks, and we're going to definitely get into it. By the way, all 4 of these teams I thought had really good drafts for different reasons. Some of these teams are positioning themselves to compete right away, while others, you could even say the Patriots in a way, they're kind of preparing for the future as well, and the Miami Dolphins as well, also preparing for the future. So we're definitely going to get into all of these teams immediately. But first, we're going to start off with the New York Jets. We're going to give you all of the picks that they made, and then I'm kind of going to review them here in a little bit. So the New York Jets, of course, had the number 3 overall pick in this draft. It seemed like either way they were going to come away with a really good player because, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Out of all the top 10 players, I think none of them will bust. And I know that's a weird take because you're like, oh, well, someone's got to bust. Every year it happens just about. Well, I'm going to be honest. Out of all the players that went in the top 10, maybe Daniel Jones will bust. But here's the thing. There's a difference between not living up to expectations and being a bust. Jameis Winston didn't live up to expectations. That doesn't mean he's a bust. That just means it was an underwhelming top 10 selection. A bust would be, you know, let me think of a good example. Ryan Leaf, the, you know, ominous like example around the draft community. A guy that was drafted like number 2 overall after Peyton Manning and didn't do anything in his NFL career. So that's a bust. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it, though, before I ramble on about what's a bust and what's not. But the New York Jets, we're going to go through all their picks right now. So at the number 3 overall selection, the New York Jets took Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle from Alabama. Let's see here. And then in round 3, pick 68 overall, they go with edge rusher Ja'Kai Polite from Florida. Also in round 3 at number 92 overall, they go with Chuma Edoga, the offensive tackle from USC. And round 4, at pick 121 overall, the New York Jets select Trayvon Wesco, the tight end from West Virginia. And round 5, at pick 157 overall, they go with Blake Cashman, the inside linebacker from Minnesota. And in round 6, at 196 overall, they go with Blesson Austin, the cornerback from Rutgers. So, for the New York Jets, like I said, all 4 of these teams I thought had really good drafts. Quinnen Williams was the number 1 player on my board in terms of, like, the best player coming out. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to go on and be, like, the best player from this draft. I think people really get that confused. What I'm saying is, coming into this process, he was the number 1 player. That doesn't mean, you know, 5-10 years from now he's going to be the number 1 player. Anything can happen. You go to the NFL, you get some development in you. You see NFL offensive lines, you see the NFL landscape. That doesn't always mean the number 1 player on my board is going to be number 1. That just means coming into this draft process, he was the number 1 guy for me. That's a great pick, though. And then in round 3, number 68 overall, Ja'Kai Polite, the outside linebacker from Florida. He had some interviewing issues. Like, apparently he didn't interview well, but he is a first-round talent for sure, and he really just dropped because of that and the poor combine. There are players who drop significantly in this draft. Throughout the videos, in this little mini-series, you will get a better snapshot of what I'm talking about. There are people who just drop, like, for no reason, it seems like, for weird stuff. The offensive tackle, Chuma Adoga, kind of a project tackle. There is some upside there, and it is a need. You know, they do need some offensive linemen. Their left tackle, Kelvin Beachum, getting up there in age. So this was a good investment pick, a guy that could sit and develop. Doesn't have to necessarily play right away, but in today's NFL, you're playing right away. Let's just be honest. In round 4, the tight end, Trayvon Wesco. I actually liked the tight end they had last year, Christopher Herndon. He really came on strong in December as well, kind of around the time Sam Darnold came on strong. But Wesco, you know, he does have ideal size for that position. So if they do want to run 2 tight end sets, you now have 2 young tight ends that you can look towards. And tight end used to be an issue there for the Jets for the longest while, but, you know, after Austin Seferian-Jenkins left, it was like, well, who's going to play the position? And, you know, Wesco could probably come in and at least assert himself as tight end number 2. Blake Cashman at 157. I had him a little bit higher personally. I thought, you know, if anything, he was going to be like a late second, early third. He goes in the 5th round, and it's not like he went early in the 5th round either. Or, yeah, he did. Technically, yeah, he did. Because the Jets did pick pretty high in the 5th round. That's my bad, but he did go really late, and he's just a hustle guy, man. You know, he's a hustle guy, pretty solid in coverage overall. It's just crazy to see him kind of fall into the 5th round. I thought at least, you know, maybe early 3rd. And then right here, the cornerback from Rutgers. I don't know much about him, so I'm not really going to comment, but you know, good quality depth. You can never have enough corners, so that's all I can really say. But next we are going to go to the Buffalo Bills. They picked at 9 overall to kick off the 1st round, and in my opinion, should have been drafted higher. They get an absolute steal. Ed Oliver at number 9. A top 5 talent for me in this draft. I understand the concern about him being quote-unquote undersized. Yeah, I find the whole undersized argument to be a load of bullshit. Can you play? That's all I really want to know. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care what your weight is. Can you play at that weight? You know, is it really going to bother you that much? Like, Ed Oliver is a freakish talent. It would not surprise me if by year 2 he's already getting Pro Bowl nominations. I'm just saying, he's a great talent. I think he will be top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting for the defensive side of the ball as an interior defensive lineman. And Buffalo got themselves a steal. Yeah, undersized. Yeah, let him slip. No big deal. We'll just snatch him up. You know, Kyle Williams did retire, and this is a guy who's going to rush the passer from the inside and allow guys to finish like Trent Murphy and Jerry Hughes. And also, he's going to be better against the run, something Buffalo has struggled with for years. He's going to definitely provide some help in that department. But Buffalo, to me, had a really good draft. And here's another example. At number 38 overall, they go with Cody Ford, the offensive lineman from Oklahoma. One of my favorite offensive linemen in this class. He's just a big boy, and he can line up basically anywhere. The fact that he slipped is kind of wild. Cody Ford was regarded as the best offensive lineman from Oklahoma. Of course, he's blocked for Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. So a lot of those Oklahoma offensive linemen are going to benefit, but it's funny how a real first-round talent as an offensive lineman did not benefit. I had Cody Ford in the 1st round. I can't remember what team I mocked him to. I want to say it was Houston. I had Philadelphia for the longest time. But he ends up going here at 38 overall. Great value pick. You saw the Jacksonville Jaguars selected Jawan Taylor right before that, who ended up slipping. But Cody Ford, great pick. in the third round, it just gets better. 74 overall, Devin Singletary, the running back from Florida Atlantic. Didn't have the best 40 time, but I mean, if you value dudes running in tights, then good for you. Like I said, I like the combine, but I don't think you should put all of your stock into the combine, if that makes sense. There's this thing called game film. Watch it. He's really good. I want to say he was the third or fourth running back selected up to this point, and he's going to be really good. You know, he's going to come into a situation where they will increment him. You know, they will try to get him some playing time. You have Frank Gore there as a veteran presence. You have LaShawn McCoy, who, you know, one of my hot takes is he's probably going to be cut in the preseason. I hate the term hot takes too, but I use it sparingly. And then this team also did sign TJ Yeldon to a multi-year deal. They're not going to cut him. So Devin Singletary, you know, a downhill runner who I think is going to be really good. He can catch out of the backfield as well, but they have TJ Yeldon for that. So you just need a guy that can run between the tackles. Great pick. In round 3, 96 overall, they go with Dawson Knox, the tight end. A great blocking, receiving combo tight end. The only problem was really the injuries. The injury concern, that's really it. In round 5, pick 147, Vosan Joseph, the linebacker from Florida. Probably going to be a special teamer to start out. The Bills are definitely set at the linebacker position with Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds, and Lorenzo Alexander. But he could be a nice understudy to Lorenzo. Round 6, pick 181, Jaquan Johnson, the safety from Miami. Don't know much about him, but... And it's funny because it's like, well, you just went over 2 Miami prospects and you know about one and not the other. Well, I didn't go out of my way to watch Miami, who is supposed to be a really good team this year, like, and didn't do jack shit. I didn't go out of my way to really watch them, so I'm sorry. But, you know, they have Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde there, so he's probably going to be a special teamer. Can see him come in for dime packages and probably do something there. And then in round 7 at 225, Darrell Johnson Jr., the outside linebacker from NCA&T. And then also in round 7 at pick 228, Tommy Sweeney, the tight end from Boston College. Don't know much about either guy, but best case scenario, you know, they're playing special teams, you know, or they probably do get playing time. I can see both these guys as special teamers. Probably Sweeney could get on the field in a 3 tight end set, like a goal line formation, because they do have Tyler Kroft and Dawson Knox. So, yeah, anything's possible there. The Miami Dolphins, they did pick at 13 overall. By the way, I just love everything they did throughout this draft because they addressed stuff that they needed now. They ended up making a trade, which I'll talk about later. And then also, they were looking towards the future, and I really like that forward-thinking process that this team went through. So for the Miami Dolphins at pick 13, they go with defensive tackle Christian Wilkins. Very consistent at his time at Clemson. A little bit of an older dude, you know, in terms of prospects coming out. I think he's like 23. So, you know, how many years is he going to have? Well, I don't really care about that right now. I think it's a great tackle presence. They needed another body in there at defensive tackle. A guy that could probably rotate to defensive end if need be. Kind of like a William Hayes on that team, which is funny because they have William Hayes on that team. But here's the thing, round 2, so they did have the 48th overall pick. They ended up trading down to pick 62, and they make a trade with the Arizona Cardinals to get Josh Rosen. They trade that 62nd overall pick and a future 5th round pick. And my takeaway is Miami potentially got a franchise quarterback. Now, I'm not saying Josh Rosen's going to come in and light things up because who knows? Ryan Fitzpatrick may end up actually starting. You never know. He did for a little bit last year when Jameis Winston was suspended and not necessarily getting playing time. And he was awesome for those 3 weeks, of course. Then you saw Ryan Fitzpatrick for real, and he gets taken out of the lineup. So, you know, if Josh Rosen doesn't start right away, I don't think people should panic. I believe in, you know, protecting an investment. So if you don't want him to play right away, who says you have to? You know, that's the way I look at it. But a great pick. He's on a rookie deal for at least 3 more seasons. Of course, I think they'll take the 5th-year option, assuming he's still on the roster. So I like the trade, and I like the move from the Dolphins. Some forward thinking right there by Miami. Let's see here. And then in the third round, at pick 78 overall, Michael Dieter, the guard from Wisconsin. Guard was a huge need for them. I believe Josh Sitton, if he didn't retire, then he's definitely not on this team anymore. And at right guard, Ted Larson. You cannot have Ted Larson out there. He's not starting quality in today's NFL. So Michael Dieter's a guy who is going to come in right away. Pretty solid game overall. Good run blocker. So, you know, Kenyon Drake's going to be glad that there's an actual run blocker there, so that's great. In round 5, pick 151 overall, Andrew Van Ginkel, the outside linebacker from Wisconsin. I didn't think I'd be saying this, but 2 years ago I really hated this linebacking core because they had Koamisi and Kiko Alonso who just got there, and they were just absolute trash. Well, their linebacking core is pretty good now. They have Jerome Baker, Raekwon McMillan, and Kiko Alonso seems to be playing better because he has more athletic linebackers surrounding him instead of a bunch of old school bruisers. You know, he has the new age speedy coverage guys, which I like. He's probably going to be a special teamer. Andrew Van Ginkel, maybe he finds some significant playing time, but you know, just for now, I think they're set at linebacker. And then in round 6 at 202 overall, great value pick right here. Isaiah Prince, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. Really good offensive tackle, just a tall dude, you know. Can definitely come in and play right tackle. They lost Juwan James, and to get a guy who could play tackle in the 6th round, and he's a good prospect too, you know, but kind of went under the shuffle. I mean, this is under the radar, I should say, but that's a good pick right there. And then in round 7, they go with a fullback, Chandler Cox from Auburn, a running back slash fullback, I think is the best way to say it. And then at pick 234, they go with Myles Gaskins, the running back from Washington. My only concern with Gaskins is he was a 4-year starter in college. He has a lot of mileage on him, but you know, you have Kenyon Drake there. I don't think he's gonna. And you also have Kalen Ballage. So, yeah, I think he will find playing time. Maybe as a special teamer, maybe as a returner. Maybe he comes in for certain packages, which I wouldn't be mad at. Gaskins is a talented dude, but he is a 4-year starter. He does have a lot of mileage on him. But now we're going to be talking about the New England Patriots. So, at pick 32 overall, they go with N'Keal Harry. I had him as my wide receiver 3. He was the second receiver taken. You still have good receivers on the board, of course, but this is a guy who has the prototypical size, can play inside or out, just a very smart receiver, getting comparisons to guys like Anquan Bolden, which is good. I like this game, though. I liked everything I saw from him. And then right here at pick 45, Jawan Williams, the cornerback from Vanderbilt, kind of fits the prototypical build that we've seen the Patriots go with year in and year out. Those taller corners who have some speed as well and are really good in man coverage. This is basically that type of corner for them, and he definitely fits, and he fits the mold, I should say. And then at pick 77 in the 3rd round, Chase Winovich, the pass rusher from Michigan. He looks like Clay Matthews, and I'll leave it at that. Probably going to be a good player for the Patriots. And then at pick 87 in the 3rd round, Damian Harris, the running back from Alabama. And I know what you're thinking. Well, they have a lot of running backs. They took Sony Michel last year. This is a fort they can pick. You know, of course they have James White and Rex Burkhead. I don't know how many years they have on their contracts, but you got to know that it's probably coming to an end soon. And Sony Michel also is a great pass catcher. Worst case scenario for Sony Michel is he's just relegated to being a pass catcher. But Damian Harris is a bruiser. He can run the ball pretty well. He does have some mileage on him, but he wasn't a 4-year starter. You see how Alabama can cycle running backs in and out. Some are good, some are not, but Harris in New England's system, I think he will be a solid player. And then right here in the 3rd round, pick 101 overall, Yandi Kanjuice, the offensive tackle from West Virginia. I think he's more of a project player than, you know, like a solid prospect. I do like what I saw from him in pass protection, but I think he just needs to put it all together. He's going to be working with arguably the best offensive line coach in football. And with Trent Brown out the door and Marcus Cannon entering his 30s, you can definitely see that he's probably going to be groomed for that right tackle spot within the future. At pick 118 overall. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name, but he's a center slash guard from Arkansas. Just another good investment pick overall. He's a former #1 recruit who just kind of couldn't put it together at Arkansas, but he has a chance to come in here. Some older offensive linemen in the interior. I think David Andrews is getting up there in age. So worst case scenario, they can kick this guard inside at center, which, no big deal. He used to be a center. And then at pick 133 overall, Jarrett Stidham, the quarterback from Auburn. I know people are saying this is going to be the replacement for Tom Brady. This is going to be the guy who takes over when he retires. All I'm going to say is I said the same thing about Jimmy Garoppolo. He ended up getting traded. Jacoby Brissett showed some promise. They ended up trading him. So we'll see with Jarrett Stidham. There are things to like about his game. A little inconsistent, and that Auburn, the way that they run their offense, I don't think fit the skill set of Jarrett Stidham. I think he gets a bad rap personally. So I feel like he could, sit for a couple of years for sure, because ain't no way he's starting over Tom Brady. So he could definitely sit, work with the offensive guy, Josh McDaniels, probably pick Tom Brady's brain here and there. This is a great opportunity for him. This is a guy in college who constantly got dogged out for being inconsistent. So this is a chance for him to learn something here. And then in round 5, 159 overall, Byron Cowart, the defensive tackle from Maryland. I don't know much about him, but it doesn't hurt to have good defensive tackle depth. In round 5, Jake Bailey, a punter from Stanford. Okay, sure, that's fine. Teams are definitely looking for rookie and second-year punters. It's not uncommon at all. So nothing weird. And then in round 7, Ken Webster, the cornerback from Ole Miss. Kind of a smaller guy, but could be groomed to be a future nickel corner. You never really know. But I thought all 4 teams had really good drafts. The Patriots, like I said, doing some forward thinking, but also addressing some needs and getting some guys in the building. The Buffalo Bills, I thought, had a well-rounded draft overall. They really addressed the then, the now, and potentially in the future. You look at the New York Jets, of course. They did the most with the few picks that they had, because remember, they traded up to get Sam Darnold last year. So they did what they could with what they had. And then the Miami Dolphins, taking a flyer on Josh Rosen with only having to give up a second-round pick and a future 5th for a guy who was selected 10th overall last year. And he has that 5th-year option as well, and you can accept it and have him on cheap money for another year. But I like the picks they made as well. They definitely improved the offensive line. With what they had in the 3rd and the 6th round, they improved the offensive line. And then, I just thought they made good value picks. They got some running backs in there, and that's all fine and dandy. So Miami, not a team that's going to compete now, but maybe in a couple of years when Rosen's starting to play well and everything's starting to click, you never know, man. But hopefully you guys enjoy it. The next division I'll be going over is going to be the AFC North, so definitely stick around for that. Peace out.